Hello everyone, it's Mom. And that's why I can't make videos very much, you guys. Chiki's sitting right there and he's going to be very annoying, right Chiki? Because he always is. He's an annoying cheeks, that's how he is. He's an annoying bird. It's just, I have a boss. I have this crazy bird right here. He doesn't let me make videos. What can I do, you guys? Hello everyone, it's Maha. So good to be with you everybody. I am back to do a one of those type of videos where just informally chat, update you on what I've been up to just a little bit, talk about some of my working decks, and just to catch up a little bit. I finished the minor arcana and major arcana for tarot and astrology, and that was a big chunk of what I felt I needed to get done on this channel. So now I can kind of relax and do all different kinds of videos that I've been planning on doing. That series is not finished, by the way. That's Chiki in the background. He's got this new bell that he really loves, so you'll hear him. And hopefully it's not too loud, otherwise I'm gonna have to edit some of it out. So I actually had to edit that out. Chiki just started screaming super loud. And I decided that I'm gonna add, just for fun, at the end of the video, a blooper section so you can hear how loud he screams. Because I have a feeling, although I don't really want to do editing for my informal chat videos, I have a feeling I'm gonna have to, because sometimes he's calm and sometimes suddenly in the middle of my speech, he starts shouting. So just watch it in the end, it's quite funny. So anyway, I was saying about tarot and astrology. I'm not finished that series. I will be doing the court cards as well coming up. And I don't know when. These videos take time, as you can imagine. The whole process is sort of a contemplative, reflective process for me, so I'm just gonna have to see when it's gonna happen. But it's still happening and it's not over, and you know how much I love tarot and astrology, so I'm gonna always bring in little glimpses of it here and there. So I wanted to talk about some of the decks I've been using lately, just a few, 2 of them that are new to me. And I also wanted to talk about a Rumi course that I've been taking. In case some of you out there are interested, it's a beautiful course, and I've found it's a very profound spiritual experience, and I wanted to share it on this channel with all of you. Because I also know, like, recently I did a Rumi Oracle deck review with Will from Atypical Tarot, and I really enjoyed that. I'm really loving that deck. I'm not going to show that deck in this video because I've already talked about it in other videos before. So far, besides that deck, another one that I'm using is the Feng Shui Tarot. And I've talked about this deck also in another video. I made a spread talking about this deck a little bit, and the guidebook that goes sold separately, which is out of print actually, but that I have with this deck. This deck is funny because, well, I have this weird relationship with it. It's like I've always felt that it's really hard to relate to, but at the same time, for some reason, I keep coming back to it, and it gives me really accurate readings. Like I'm in tune with this deck, if you know what I mean, and I don't really know why I keep going back to it. I find it's hard to work with a little bit because the images are beautiful, by the way. I can't really show you here on this camera, but I'm gonna try to insert some images on the side. I love the major arcana in this deck. I love the major arcana. The transition card, which is the death card, is beautiful. One of my favorite death cards, actually. And then the moon card, I really love. So one of the reasons why I had a hard time connecting with this deck was because, for one, the elements are not traditional. It's it's a traditional deck and it isn't. The elements, like for example, the suit of wands is not fire, it's water, and it's, well, like I've talked about in my video, the suits are black tortoise, green dragon, red phoenix, and white tiger. So the red phoenix is the suit of cups, but then they relate it to the fire element. And I had a hard time with this because I didn't really, it's like, it's almost counterintuitive for me, and at the same time I didn't really understand the purpose behind it because the meanings are exactly the same as the suit of cups, yet it's the element of fire. So I didn't really understand why that was so. But I'm still working with kind of understanding the whole idea behind it. What I find really, really lovely about this deck is connecting with the energy of the cards, because they really use, in the guidebook she talks a lot about the elements that are surrounding the card, and then the element that the card itself represents. So what's the atmosphere, what element is the atmosphere, and what is actually the card. So it gives me a good sense of working with the elements and just the pure energies of tarot, which I really enjoy, and it really does give me really amazing readings, really, really accurate. Like the other day I was feeling like I was in a place where I was looking back at the past and kind of in a ruminative kind of mindset, looking back, and I was drawn to work with this deck, and I just knew that I was going to draw the Six of Cups, and well, which is the Phoenix, Red Phoenix 6, and it talks about letting go of the past. She's kind of flying over this pond of fish, thinking about what she's familiar with in the past, and it talks beautifully in the book about letting go of the past and moving forward. But I just love the way she puts it together in the guidebook. And in the guidebook, like I said, it's out of print, but you can still find it. But the little white book that it comes with is also pretty useful. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about this deck. I'm still getting to know it, still getting to kind of work with it and learn the whole system, and I am getting a lot so far. The next deck that I got just recently was the Mystic Fairy Tarot deck by Barbara Moore, and this is a deck that I wasn't gonna get, and this is a reprint. It's a new edition of an older version of this which had borders, and that's the reason why I didn't get it, because it's the first time that borders actually really bothered me. Let me come close to my webcam, which is kind of in a bad spot, but I love the colors of this deck. I love the art. It's very gentle, very, very spring-like. I think this deck is perfect for spring. I haven't really had a chance to study this deck yet, like the cards themselves. I love the artwork, and I find them whimsical and full of character and life. But what I really love about this deck is the guidebook, actually, you guys. Barbara Moore is one of my favorites, her style of writing in tarot. I always feel like she has some life lessons in each card. And I want to read you one thing that really struck chord with me the other day on the Wheel of Fortune card. I just want to read you a paragraph because it's quite beautiful. I'm going to read it to you in a moment because I want to talk about the next deck too, just in case you don't want to stick around for me to read this paragraph. But I mainly got this deck for the book, and I really love the artwork as well, but I'm the kind of person, for me, books are important, the guidebooks, because I love books, and I learn a lot from the guidebooks. I just love the wisdom in them, and Barbara Moore is definitely one of my favorites in that she gives a lot of wisdom. I've referred to her in my tarot and astrology series, where I read some quotes sometimes, and I've read from her writing before, because it's been really helpful for me sometimes, especially when I'm going through a tough time, and then I come across something she says, and it's like it really hits home, you know? Yeah. And so yeah, I'm just getting to know this deck still. Another deck that I recently got as a gift from my boyfriend, along with this one actually, is the Sacred Earth Oracle. I finally gave in and locked up Cheeky in another room because he just was making me nervous. So, Sacred Earth Oracle deck. You guys, I am in love with this deck. I think it's one of my favorite decks by far, so far in all of my Oracle deck history. Well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know, but this is definitely up there. I just feel a deep connection with everything about this deck, like the artwork. And the thing is, when I watched the reviews on YouTube, it was nothing like what I had imagined. And it's always like that. Decks are always so much better in real life than when you actually see them on camera and on video. But the artwork, oh my goodness. Like this one, Repetition. Just, there's so much in here. Look at that mask, that face, and the horses. And the horses, in a really interesting way, I wish I could find some images, and maybe I will. I might. Online, maybe I'll find something. Maybe not, but if I can, that'd be great. I want to find some images of Persian art, like traditional art. And the horses, the way they're drawn in these cards, just remind me so much of traditional Persian artwork, where they depict horses. Something about them. And then there's something also about this deck that is very similar to Rumi poetry. I find this deck very poetic. I find the artist very, very poetic in her way of how she's done these images. They are so layered. There's so much to see. And this one, Fragments, for example, look at how much there's going on in that image. So much meaning can be drawn into these images. And what I also love is the keywords. The keywords are so different, you know, and it's like when you've been working with oracle cards, oracle decks for some time, after a while you get kind of bored of typical keywords. Well, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like abundance, prosperity, you know, all of these things that we keep hearing over and over and over again. I don't really need 100 oracle decks that have the same type of keywords. I'm looking for something different now. And I love the keywords here. For example, this one, absence. Wow, this is just one of my favorite images. The moon, that horse, that symbol. It's very ethnic images. Like, they really remind me of somewhere else. Alliance. The keywords are really great. Connection. Heat. I really like that as a keyword. Patterns. Wow. There was one that was one of my favorites. I think it was Listen, and that was very that was, first of all, a beautiful image, but just so Rumi. I mean, one of the words that Rumi a lot of times begins his poetry with is listen, and I've been learning that also more in this course that I'm taking, that I'm going to talk about in a moment. Surface. Surface is beautiful. Beautiful. That reminds me of the nymph painting from some of the art history images. I can't remember. Is it John Waterhouse? I don't know who it was that did that nymph painting. Reminds me of this. These are watercolor, and it's just amazing. If you ever worked with watercolor, it's very spontaneous, very you can't really control watercolor. It's very flowy, and it just does what it wants a lot of times, so it's hard to control. And there's so much layering going on in these, so much layering and different textures. I think that's just so skillful. Reaction is the card that I got last week, and I just find that this image is so emotional, so deeply emotional. So deck, the only thing is it doesn't say the artist's name on oh yeah, it does. Artwork by Helena Nelson Reed. Wow. She is amazing. Tony Carmen Solero and Leela Williams are the creators. And the artist is one of my favorites now in Oracle deck, as far as Oracle deck artwork goes. I've always really stayed true to Josephine Wall's artwork and Lisa Hunt. And I think now I have a third favorite. She is amazing, this artwork. I really invite you to just look at the artwork. It's very contemplative, very, very meditative. And I find that this deck is very spiritual. There's this very deep spiritual energy about the deck, and it's interesting that there's poetry also that Tony Salerno has written. Tony Carmen Salerno has written in the guidebook. He's written some poetry in there, and I didn't know that at first. I came across it just the other day, and I thought that's really how I feel about this deck. It's just very poetic. So speaking of poetry, I have been taking this really amazing soul nurturing course by a beautiful soul named Pouria Moncazeri. He is Persian, and I discovered him through a video from the Theosophical Society, which I'll link down below in case you're interested. Even if you don't take the course, just being in his energy, I find it was so beautiful. And I feel really grateful that I have come across him and I found him, because for a long, long time I was searching for a teacher of Rumi that would also read the poetry in Persian and also have a connection to the Persian language as well. And it was hard for me to find that teacher, and now I have. And I do speak and I can write in Farsi, but I'm not, I was young, I was 10 and a half when I left there, so I don't really understand Rumi poetry. It's very complicated, very difficult Persian writing. It's really hard to understand for me, so I'm really enjoying just listening to him talking about the poems. So the way that the course is designed is that every week you get some MP3s of the actual lessons, and then you get PDF downloads of the poems, and you get meditations and chants, and it's every week, and then you have a live Q&A with him just to touch on the questions you have. And it's an 8-week course, and I've already done 2 classes, so I just started, but I've gotten so much out of it already. It's really touched my heart, and that's what I feel about Pouria Moncazeri, the teacher. He is very, he's just very, working from his heart, very passionate, and truly just wants to, out of the kindness of his own heart, wants to teach this material and get it out there, and to share Rumi's beautiful work with everybody. And I just think he's just an amazing teacher, so I'm really enjoying that. So if you do have some time, I really invite you to check out this link down below for the description, in the description box, for the Theosophical Society's lecture that he did on there. And that's how I discovered him, and I right away signed up for the course, and I'm really loving it so far. I think it's a deep spiritual process, and I guess I was ready for it now, because for such a long time I was searching for that right teacher, and now, when they say when you're ready, the teacher will come along. So that's helped me a lot, because I've been going through a really hard time recently. I've kind of had this phase where I've just been feeling like, what do I do next? It's been a bit interesting, and soul searching, kind of getting to know what I'm feeling, what's going on, where I want to go next, and it's just a lot of inner work, soul searching going on. And I've found that the things I'm doing here and there, taking this course, working still with my decks and my own spiritual practice, and still partaking in astrology lectures, and just it's kind of been, now I think this is the time where everything is coming together, and I'm starting to work again on my book that I stopped actually working on for a while, about a year. When I first moved to this apartment, everything kind of just stopped, and there was a little bit of some setbacks and a little bit of delay in the things I was doing before. There wasn't so much of that momentum going on. So it's just been a bit of a change. So I think now I'm going to read you the paragraph from, because as I said that, I remembered what I read in Barbara Moore's book, The Wheel of Fortune, because it really kind of touched me in a deep way. So she says, the wheel itself is adorned with astrological symbols donating the turning of a solar year. Fairy time runs different than our own, so we should not interpret that too literally. Rather, it shows the cycle of life, which may or may not pass at the same speed all the time. Sometimes phases of our lives move slowly, sometimes quickly. We humans often say that life is a cycle with ups and downs. By that we mean good times and bad. However, this wheel doesn't show good and bad, just different phases, each with their own pluses and minuses. So I really connected with that, as you can probably understand after what I just said about my own life. This state where I've been feeling like things are just moving slowly, like this kind of depressed state. And I don't want to say I've been depressed, but I feel like there has been this slowness going on. Things, not active, depressed. And I had some struggles with my health for a while, which was a few weeks ago, which is another reason why it was hard for me to get up here and make the videos. I was experiencing some pretty bad dizziness, some inner ear issues, and just some really weird stuff happening to me at the same time. So that's pretty much now under control, and I feel like things are shifting now from this slow to a little bit more, picking up a little bit more. So I really connected to what she said about here, the Wheel of Fortune. I think that's really, really beautifully put about how life is not always the same. Where sometimes things are slower, sometimes they're moving more quickly, and time, as we know it to be linear, is really not linear. And so I like the idea of thinking about time as a cycle of life. And in fact, I'm studying transits in astrology right now. I'm really delving into transits and progressions, which are all about the cycles of time and the cycles of life. So I think that's all. I think this video has gotten a little bit longer than I planned, but I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I could sit here and talk for hours with you. I wish I could, but for the sake of time, I'm going to end it here. And I really am grateful for you being here with me and spending this time with me. If you have already up until this point, thank you so much. And I'm sending you lots of love and many blessings as always. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye everyone. And it's really hard to find time to actually have good lighting, cheeky sleeping, and no construction noise. It does take some time to put the material together for you all, so I really appreciate your patience. Yeah, as you can see, I can't make videos in this place, so what can I do? Tiki, don't do that. No, don't do that, Tiki. No. Because I live in I live with a crazy bird.